so, I remember this one particular time we wanted to do something big for Queen 88's birthday, you know what I mean? So, 'cause 88, she really looked out for a nigga, you know what I mean? If it wasn't for her, a nigga wouldn't have really got that, that foot in the door out in Dallas, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And, she the one that introduced me to Duke, Duke was the plug, you know what I'm saying? So I thought, you know what I mean? But we get into that later. But yeah, Duke was the plug, and it was because of 88 introducing me to him. I was able to, start making some major moves out in Dallas, you know what I mean? So I wanted to do something big for 88's birthday, so, you know. So during that time, you know what I mean, around that, that month, cause that whole month, 88 was like, it's her birthday, she's celebrating every day. So this one particular day, I was chilling on the block. And so I'm chilling on the block, you know what I mean? It's like, it's nighttime, it's probably like, what, maybe 11:30 going on midnight, it's getting late, so it's just me on the block hustling. And, it was this, young girl that lived in this apartment complex but I was hustling at in Dallas. Her name was Sweets Cash, you know what I mean? AKA Tinkerbell, you know what I mean? Y'all can look up online, Sweets Cash, aka Tinkerbell, real cutie, you know what I mean? Little fat ass and shit, so I'm hustling on the block. And I used to flirt with her every day, you know what I mean? So this one particular day, I guess her kids was at home, so she had some free time, so she downstairs talking to me. While I'm hustling, we chilling on the block. So she's online, I think she was on Clubhouse or some shit, you know what I mean? Might have been YouTube, one of them shits. I'm hustling, and I noticed she get into an argument with some chick online. They going back and forth, they arguing. Like, what the fuck? So she's sitting there arguing with the girl. Now, I know the girl, but I only know her in passing, like just flirting with her and shit. And, she's down here with me while I'm hustling, but she's arguing on the phone, so I'm like, so next thing I know, I heard her tell a girl, well, if you come over here, I'm not fighting you. I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, what the fuck? I ain't think nothing of it. Long behold, after all the argument, a car pulls up. So I'm looking, I got my shit on me now, I ain't worried about it, but it ain't my beef, but. So the girl says, hold on for a second, she walks away from me. So she walks, a little bit to the car, she telling the person in the car, come here. The person gets out, and it's Jackie. I'm like, oh shit. But Jackie ain't noticed me because I had a hood on. I had my hoodie on, and I had, people call it the Pooh Shiesty, ski mask, but it's just a ski mask, I had that shit on, you know what I mean? And so I'm looking, and she telling Jackie, come here, and Jackie get out the car, but I'm kind of fucked up in my head. I'm like, damn, that's who he was arguing with the whole time. And then I'm also like, damn, I'm like, Jackie nice with them hands, you know what I mean? She's like, Layla Ali, Clarissa with them hands. I'm like, I don't know, shorty. She like, come in, and they say, no, shorty. Unzips the fanny pack, pulls out a little blicky. I'm like, oh. She said, come in. And Jackie, saw that. So Jackie like, she was like, yo, why you got the gun? Put the gun down, what? And then next thing you know, shorty fires like towards Jackie, but like had the gun pointed out. Pow! I'm like, oh shit. And then, Jackie started cursing. I was like, oh, you pussy, you this, you that. Jackie gets in the car, drives off, so I walked up to the girl. I'm like, yo, you crazy, man, you bugging, And, she laughed. And then that's all I could remember. That particular day after that, cause then the next day I woke up. All I know is I woke up the next day, my phone ringing. I went to get up, but something was like pinning me down. I looked to my right. The girl Tinkerbell's laying there asleep. I'm like, oh shit, I look under the covers. We ain't got no clothes on. I'm like, whoa, okay. So I get her off of me. I go answer the phone. it's 88's, it's Queen 88's father, you know what I mean? You know, Farrago, you know, we talking. Because me and him plan on getting 88's dream car for her birthday. So he's calling me, letting me know, hey, you know, this is where they found the car, you know. It's gonna take this long to get there because she was having a big birthday party. A lot of people was coming out. So I'm like, alright, so me and him talking about the car. So I'm like, well, I'm supposed to take her out later on and, you know, get her hair done, nails done. You know what I mean? Do something nice for her, you know, being that it's her birthday, you know. Month or whatever, no week or whatever, weekend. So he like, alright, so he said he gonna keep me up to date with the status of the car, so cool. You know what I mean? As I hang up, the, you know, little shorty Tinkerbell, you know, walked up behind me. You know what I mean? You know, butt ass naked, you know what I mean? I was naked already. Then, you know, she started smiling at, you know, boom. Threw her back on the bed, did our thing. And then, you know, boom, after we did our thing, I got up out of there. Hopped in the shower, you know what I mean, got dressed, slid over to 88 house, picked 88 up, you know, so we driving, and then, you know, as we driving, a Maserati rolled by, and 88 always did this. Every time we were driving, or when I first got to Dallas and was riding her little Kia when I first got there, she would always see a Maserati, be like, ooh, I want one of them shits. Damn, I want one of them shits. But she ain't know me and her pops had one coming for her. You know what I mean? We ordered her one, but it was gonna be there, like, you know what I mean? It's gonna take some time to get there, but we had one coming. So I took her, you know, we got her, you know, her nails done, feet done, got her hair done, because she said she had a date with some cat, you know what I mean? Some dude, you know what I mean? Which I wasn't feeling it, but at the same time, you know, we had no strings attached, you know, me and 88 was, you know, she was free to do what she wanted, I was free to do what I want, you know what I mean? So she was going on a date, but I got her feet and her hair and nails done. She even convinced me to get my feet done, which I'd never done in my life, you know what I'm saying? So, I did all that, you know what I'm saying, and, as I'm driving her back to her crib, you know, it was her birthday weekend, so she was feeling happy, so, you know, started feeling on a nigga, kissing on a nigga, you know what I mean? Why a nigga driving and shit, you know, she, you know, unzipped the nigga pants and went down, her phone ring, it's her pops again, I'm like, oh shit, you know what I mean? So I answered the phone, which was kind of awkward that I'm talking to her pops while she, doing, I guess what, doing her thing, so I'm talking to pops, but I'm trying to keep it cool. So he just let me know more status about the car, also about the party, who's coming, you know what I mean, and, you know, because he owns a nightclub out there in Dallas, her father, so, you know, so I'm like, alright, you know, so I'm trying to, like, not try to, you know, trying to keep it cool. I'm not trying to be like how DMX was when he was on the phone, when he was talking to, you know, his girl, you know, so I'm trying to keep it cool, you know, which is kind of crazy that I'm talking to her father while she's, you know, doing her thing with me and shit. I'm like, then I got off the phone, you know what I'm saying, then I pulled over, you know, me and 88 got it in, you know, front seat, back seat, and boom. So I drop her off, she gets ready for her date or whatever. Meanwhile, the whole time she was telling me I should look out for Platinum, little dude that she used to deal with. But they wasn't together no more, but she wanted me to look out for him because Platinum wanted to get money and shit. You know, because he was an inspiring rapper, which he was cool with, you know, while in, you know, put some money behind him, and that's how I got that song done, like I said before, with him and 88, you know what I'm saying? He wanted to get some money. So I'm like, cool, so, you know, Platinum kept, you know, asking how could he get down, how he could get down. I said, well, you're going to have to prove yourself, you know, when the opportunity comes. I'm going to call on you. You're going to have to step up, you know what I'm saying? Cool. So 88 goes on this date with this dude. I think his name was Cortez, some nigga. You know, she went on a date with him or whatever. And somehow, 88 and Cortez get into it. You know what I mean? Because, you know, she was live, I guess. Not only is she was live just to show that they was getting into her, but I guess so she could have proof in case he gets a little crazy. So they got to argument. I guess the guy must have gotten mad because 88 wanted to go home, and he couldn't get none for the night. I guess, you know how that should go, you know what I'm saying? So 88 cursed him out and, got up out of there, so he was mad, and I didn't like that because, homie was being real disrespectful, and I already knew, who homie was. He was getting a little bit of paper, you know what I mean? I knew where his spot was because 88 sent me, the location in case anything happened or whatever. Alright, cool. So being that she was pissed off at him and didn't really have a need for him, and she already told me that he was already trying to show off and, he had money and jewelry in the house, and I knew where the location was. I'm like, okay, this might be Platinum's time to prove to me he could, step up, you know what I mean? So I'm like, alright. So I told Platinum, I said, well, 88's birthday's coming up this weekend. You know what I mean? We throwing her birthday party at her, Father's Club Friday night. While the party's going down, we gonna slide over to this clown nigga Cortez, house, and we gonna see, what he got in the crib. This is your way to step up, you know what I mean? So that, and the reason why I was doing this is like, you always gotta have something on a motherfucker. Like, when a nigga, wanna get there, you gotta have something on him. Nigga gotta prove either it's gonna be a murder or rob. You gotta prove yourself. You gotta prove you gonna step up. So when a nigga put that gun in your hand, you either gonna step up or you gonna fold, you feel me? So I'm like, we gonna hit up this nigga Cortez's house while the party is happening, so that way we have an alibi when everything's going down, cause we done took plenty of pictures, our locations, you know what I mean? On our phones, it's gonna show us, you know what I mean, that we was at the party, you know what I'm saying? So cool. So we come up with the plan to hit Cortez's house the night of 88's party. Also, Duke Faber called a meeting for me to come see him. He called a meeting of me, SD, you know what I mean, and two of my niggas I had with me from New York that was hustling with us. My nigga Bullis Gotti and my nigga Triple Darkness, you know what I mean, who was more of a shooter, but he was down with the crew. So Duke calls the meeting. Duke's like, yo, man. He was like, he thinking about getting out the game. He moving to Florida. Cause, he was like, it's getting too hot, you know what I mean? Not only all the beef with Sean G, but the beef with Yella Beasley, you know what I mean? Him having to fight 20 niggas and, him getting caught up, and then, Rainwater, fighting, getting caught up at the club with Yellow B. He was like, there's too much beef going on, and plus Ratchet TV, like I said before, was putting the heat on us, so he was getting out the game. So he was like, he said, I'm handing everything over to Tony and SD. He was like, y'all could do what y'all want, y'all gonna run it, you know what I mean? He was like, I'm gonna give y'all the product, y'all just do y'all thing, you know what I mean? I'm gonna pass my supplier to y'all, you know what I mean? And, he said he was going to introduce us to his supplier, which would be at 88's birthday party. So I'm like, all right, cool. So he ended the meeting. I'm sitting at the I'm sitting at the table with my nigga Bullis Gotti, my nigga Triple Darkness. They both from New York. I'm from New York. SD from Texas. You know what I mean? Platinum, he's trying to get down. He ain't down yet, but he's sitting at the table, so we all talking. So I'm like, well, we need a strategy. I was like, you see how Frank Lucas had the work Blue Magical? I was like, we need a name, like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, well, shit, what kind of name could we, And then that's when, Platinum, was talking about, 88 and, this and that, SD, had a brief romance with her. And I did. And we all was like, yeah, that's that 88 experience. Boom, that clicked in my head. I'm like, yo, we should call our work the 88 experience. And they're like, what you mean? I was like, cuz the 88 experience is like a good feeling. You know what I mean? It's like, I was like, plus, you know, we getting money like it's 1988. You know what I'm saying? We getting money like it's 1988. Plus, it's like, you know, it gives you that good feeling. You know what I mean? Because we was selling ecstasy pills too, but we wouldn't take the ecstasy pills, mix it with Viagra. That's how the dudes was able to do their thing. We get, you know, we would sell also ecstasy pills to the ladies. They would get wet. And then, you know, the weed, the coke, the dope, all that shit makes you feel good. We even had some coke called butt naked, you know what I mean? Every chick we told them, if you sniff this, you're gonna get butt naked. And lo and behold, they be naked. So I'm like, yo, let's just call our work the 88 experience. And they like, wow, and they all agreed because that was like some shit. Like niggas don't really do that in this current, you know what I mean? You know, niggas don't really do that. You know, we doing that, you know, so we bring in that little strategy up from New York. You know, niggas wasn't really doing that down bottom in the South, you know what I mean? So, boom, we agreed to that. Alright, so now it's the night of the party. So we get to the party. Everybody's there for 88's birthday. Everybody there to celebrate. Even fucking Tommy from Love and Hip Hop came through. And this is all facts, nigga. You can go to 88's Instagram. You can go to Queen 88's YouTube page. Look all this up. Go to 88's Instagram. You see the night of the party. You see her and Tommy celebrating her birthday. That's when she had this blue-ass silk romper type outfit on. It was like a romper, but it was real sexy. It was blue silk with some nice diamond heels. Finer than a motherfucker at night. Tommy from Love and Hip Hop was there. Mad people was there. We even booked Big Boogie. You know, 'cause that's one of 88's favorite rappers. He has a song called Bounce That Ass That She Love. We booked Big Boogie. We booked him. He came through. So why everybody's partying? The Duke introduced us to his supplier, who's now gonna be supplying us, which was shockingly 88's Pops. So we like, oh shit. So it was like no doubt. So, and then, you know, so 88's Pops pulled me to the side and was like, yo, you've been really doing your thing, man. I'm proud of you. Not only you've been looking out for my daughter, but you've been doing your thing on the streets. I mean, you know, I'm hearing good things about you, man. He was like, you kind of like the son that I always wanted, man. He was like, keep doing your thing. I'm like, no doubt. So I look at my watch. It's about time to go tit pay this nigga Cortez a visit. So I'm like, yo, I told Platinum and my nigga Triple Darkness, I say, yo, let's go. So we go in the back, in a club, through the kitchen, into this office. You know, I take my cell phone, sit it on the desk. I take Platinum's phone, sit it on the desk. I take Darkness' phone and sit it on the desk. We leave our phones at the club so that way in case anything happened. Not only we done took pictures and all that shit, and we got plenty of witnesses saying we at the party. Our location on our phone gonna show we at the party. Cause if you ever watch them shows, niggas always get caught up with their fucking phones. So we left the phones at the club. Change clothes and shit. Boom, we go through the back, hop in the car. Boom. Show up at Cortez's house. Send Platinum in there. You know what I mean? I don't think nobody was home. So, you know, we get up in there. Platinum goes, give him the burner. Platinum goes in there. Triple Darkness, you know, he goes behind him. I go too. Boom. So we sneaking in the crib. So, we looking for the safe. Boom. This nigga Cortez was home. I'm like, fuck. So the nigga, like, what the fuck I do? Boom, slap the nigga, shut the fuck up. Boom, so I pistol whipping the nigga begging for his life. Pistol whip the nigga, boom, boom, boom. Whole time we pistol whipping them. Of course, 88 and all them, they back at the club partying and shit. Boom, boom, pistol, you know, give us a sit over the safe, nigga. Over this nigga crying for his life. Yo, crying for his life, right? He empties the safe, nigga. We cleared the safe, took all the money. You know what I mean? Tie the nigga up. We get the fuck up out of there. We get back to the motherfucking club. Change back into our clothes. Get our phones. Because Pops already knew that we was gonna step out. So that's why, you know, he didn't expect. And so boom, we go back. We back in the party. Partying. We chilling. So we celebrate 88's birthday. You know, Tom from Love and Hip Hop and her, they taking pictures. Big Boogie already performed. And we chillin', so we brought out the cake, sung happy birthday and shit. And then, I noticed this girl kept staring at me and SD. So I'm like, yo, who that? And SD was like, I don't know, but she finer than a motherfucker, and she kept staring at us, winking, and so we like, damn. And so I'm like, well, he ain't know, I ain't know, but she kept staring at us. So we ain't paid no mind. So we all go outside. This is the crazy shit, this how the night ended crazy, and the robbery shit wasn't even the crazy night, how it ended. We get outside and shit. This shit is great. We get outside. We surprised 88 with her Maserati, pink Maserati. She went crazy. She, jumped up and down, hugged her father, hugged me, you know what I mean? Because she knew that, we both, the ones that gave her the keys. So she, jumping up and down over there, though, couldn't believe it, you know what I mean? Pink Maserati, the car she always wanted, right? Cool. So the girl that was staring at me and SD, she kept staring. So she's walking over, so we like, oh shit, but she walks up to SD, so I'm like, okay, my nigga. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. I was like, alright. So she walks up to SD. She asked him his name. She was like, oh, you such and such. She said his real name. He was like, yeah. He was like, how you know my name? So, she pulled out a piece of paper, put it in his hand, and whispered in his ear, you've been served. What? You've been served. The girl walked away. He looked. His baby mamas and put him on child support. Ain't that fucked up? Right?